My entire life, I have been pretty aimless with my purpose. And I think most people would say the same thing that we struggle to think about why we're here, what we're doing on this earth. And as of a year and a half ago, roughly, when I graduated college, I realized that I was going nowhere of interest. I had an okay job. I've always been pretty good at school, but nothing amazing. I'm not going to be inventing anything crazy. I was always decently athletic. I was good enough at track and field, but wasn't amazing. And I realized that if I did not change anything about this situation, if I just kept the course of being okay, then my life was going to be pretty average. And I was never going to get to the point of that extreme success, the commercial success, the physical success that I had always craved. And so I knew that I had to find a purpose. I had to find a reason to get up and something to chase, right? Something that would motivate me to not just be pretty good, but amazing, right? And I would say that of the past year and a half, I have found my purpose. And today I want to help you do the same. So I would urge you to just, put your phone away, put it on airplane mode, whatever, make the video full screen, and let's just focus on the task at hand, all right? So the first chapter, right? It's your foundation. You cannot find your purpose if you don't even know who you are as a person. So the first thing is to identify your current circumstances. What are you doing right now that's making you feel so unfulfilled? Maybe you're broke. I think most people's limiting factor is money. I'm not struggling, I would say, but I'm definitely not able to comfortably just drop a few $1,000s on a trip or a item that I need, right? It would be stressful. Maybe you're studying in school and this is just like not interesting to you at all. Maybe your relationships are really poor in quality. Maybe of the few friends that you have, you don't particularly like them, or maybe you don't have any friends. It could be anything that is currently constraining your life. But what I want you to do, rather than thinking of everything that could be possibly limiting your life, is to pick one thing, one limiting factor that is holding you back from everything. This one blockage that if you get rid of it, you can then move on to the next thing and the next thing. And for me, it's money. Everything that I desire or could do in my life, but I cannot yet, comes back to money. Eat out and not worry about the bill or pay for everyone's bill. Be that guy that pays for the tab. Or one of my friends has a really crappy gaming laptop. It's not really a gaming laptop at all. It's just a crappy laptop. I want to be able to buy him like a $2,000 laptop, because like he's been a great friend to me and he could use it. Right now, my girlfriend is in graduate school and we're probably going to have like $20,000 to $30,000 of loans to handle. I want to be able to take care of that for her, right? My mom wants to help me and my sister pay for our weddings, but I want to be able to be the son that says, no, mom, focus on your retirement. I'll take care of myself. All of these things come back to money. If I just had some sort of purpose that the byproduct of it was making lots of money, then these problems would be going away. And so I want you to pick one. Don't pick top 3. Do not pick your top 5 constraints because then your priorities get all out of alignment. Pick one, the most important thing to you, and then let's think about how to solve that. The next step is, how did you arrive at these circumstances to begin with? Because, if you're broke, for example, a lot of people are broke because they're young or they've never had much experience to gain a lot of money. But it could also be that you've just made really poor financial decisions and you've resulted in this situation of like, yeah, I'm in a bad spot now. Maybe you have a bad habit that is holding you back, right? I think a big one for lots of people is fitness, because we all, to a certain extent, want to have a good body, have the muscles, have the cardiovascular health to not get winded going up a flight of stairs. And a potential constraint to that goal is habits, right? If you don't go to the gym, if you don't do anything to facilitate a better body and health, then you're not going to get it. Another big one is your relationships. If you're purposely reclusing, if you're not putting yourself out there, if every time that you get invited to something and you say, I'm busy, I can't do it, not because you think that it wouldn't be fun, but because you are too anxious to actually go out and maybe meet new people. That's bad, isn't it? You want to be able to go out and fulfill your purpose. And if this thing is holding you back, if these bad habits are holding you back, then you need to identify that. Whatever the constraint was that you picked in the previous step, I want you to think, how did I arrive at this constraint to begin with? With me being money, there is a certain extent of this just comes with time. If you don't have much of a career, then of course you're not going to be rich. It's unrealistic to expect that. But also have a bit of accountability and recognize that if you don't have lots of money, if you're just working a $10 an hour Panera job or whatever, then maybe you need to recognize that, man, I've kind of arrived in this circumstance on my own volition, right? I've picked this job and it's not getting me closer to my financial goals. Maybe we need to find something better. Now, this part is very important. You need to identify what kind of person you are when it comes to your talents and skills. One of the best creators for productivity, self-improvement is Ali Abdaal. And he made a video one time where he talked about this idea of your unfair advantages. The things that you are just naturally good at that other people just struggle with, right? That you just excel at for no particular reason. That's just what you've been born to do. Because your purpose is far more elusive and probably harder to stay disciplined with if you're intentionally going out and doing things that you're not good at. For me, I am not technically gifted at all. I've never been good with math or programming, anything like that. I'm not super athletically gifted. Like I said, I've been decent enough at running and lifting weights, but I'm not like, Ronnie Coleman or Sam Sulik, people that just have a natural tendency to put on muscle. And I know that I am not the kind of person that is interested in working for clients or having a boss, right? I want to have my own direction. Because my sister, she loves having coworkers, being on a team, kind of having goals laid out for her. But I want to be the kind of person that creates my own goals. And it's not that one is better, one is worse. It's just identify what kind of person you are. But those are the things that I'm bad at or that I'm not interested in pursuing. But what about the things that I'm good at? My unfair advantages. These are things that you're just naturally good at. There's no real effort required for you to do that task. So for me, I'm good at writing and communication, right? Talking to you. I've generally been pretty decent at speaking. I can go up to anyone on the street and just strike up a conversation. It comes naturally to me. And I'm pretty good at self-education, teaching myself how to do things that are not explicitly told to me, right? Everything on YouTube, from buying the camera to learning how to edit, everything I've taught myself. And I mean, some people just aren't good at that. They need that university setting in a classroom where someone is teaching it to them. Because look, you only have so much time. You only have so many resources to expend. And if you're purposefully going out and doing things that do not align with your skills, then you're just stacking the cards not in your favor. Why would you not want to pursue things that the barrier to entry for you is much lower? Like, I used to think that I was going to become a programmer. It's a high-paying job, right? But I knew that I just don't read code well. I'm not good at that. It's not how I naturally think. And so I didn't pursue it as a career. So, again, actionable step here. Pick the one unfair advantage that you think you are the best at. The one thing that just people around you just are like, man, dude, you're really good at that. Think about what that thing might be for you. For me, it's communication, right? Talking with you, talking with people generally comes pretty naturally to me. The last step in your foundation is whether you're an individualist or a collectivist. And what I mean by that is, do you generally find yourself wanting to focus only on yourself and your ego, or for the betterment of people around you and kind of sacrificing your own needs? And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. There's places for each role, but you need to think about which camp you lean harder into. But let's define it, right? So what would an individualist look like? I mean, it's generally more popular in Western societies. We think that we're, the main character of our own story. We want to maybe have a little bit of attention and respect. We want to have pride in our work, that we did it ourselves. No one else helped us. It's all about us. And in terms of material possessions, it might look like having a big house, having a nice car, nice clothing, things that make you feel good. And then collectivism, generally more popular in non-Western societies, family first, maybe religion first. You're more of a cog in the wheel, which sounds a bit negative, but it's more about being a part of something bigger than yourself, right? I don't want to be famous. I don't want a ton of attention. I just want to be helping people around me, helping the community. Do you find more joy in your own personal success and careers and material items, or do you focus more on family and the people around you? And again, I mean, humans are not these static creatures where we can only be one or the other. It's not binary. You can have aspects of both, but you're probably going to be a little bit more into one, 60% here, 40% there, right? I used to be 100% individualist. I used to be all about myself, a bit of an ego, honestly. And I've come to realize that I would probably find a lot more joy in elevating the people around me. Like I said, buying my friends a nice laptop or helping my girlfriend out with her college tuition. These things that they're not really about me, but I want to see people around me do better. And so in that regard, it's a little bit more of the collectivist route. Okay, so now you know what your problems are and your desires. You know how you arrived at those problems and desires. You know what your advantages are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and whether you're an individualist or collectivist. But what does this all mean in relation to purpose? How do we actually find what we're meant to do here on Earth? Well, I spoke recently with someone on the podcast, and he mentioned this idea of ikigai. It's a Japanese term, and it means your reason for being. And it's these 4 circles that kind of converge into a Venn diagram type of thing. So what are these 4 things? What you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And at the center of all of this is the ikigai, your reason for being, your purpose. Because when you find a convergence point of all of those things, it's really, really hard to do. But if you find that, then you've solved everything, basically. You know exactly what you need to do. So I'll give you my examples, right? Start with the first one. What do I love? Well, I love building things. Building this YouTube channel has been awesome. Building a business, building something from nothing. Or maybe it's your physique. Next thing, what am I good at? Well, I said writing and communication, right? Speaking with others, maybe in a almost therapeutic sense. People ask me, am I a therapist? No, it's just what I'm good at. And then what can you be paid for? Well, online businesses are a huge moneymaker. Being a creator on YouTube can be very profitable. Or starting a paid community, right? Courses. And then what does the world need? Well, I think the world is definitely lacking in good role models, better guidance, maybe being a little bit more critical in your thinking, really thinking things through, having more open discussion, and then probably a bit of optimism. And so what would the ikigai be for me with all of that information I've presented? What would my reason for being be? Well, I've written it down because it's actually pretty specific. Build an online community of like-minded, ambitious people where we unpack each other's problems and dreams and guide each other towards a more optimistic future. And in pursuing that goal, I will have the resources and freedom to elevate the lives of those closest to me. That's very specific, but that is my purpose, my ikigai. Based on all the information I've laid out, if someone just read my notes, this document, they could probably arrive at that same conclusion. Because you have to be this specific with your goals. You have to really be honest with yourself and recognize, no, man, I suck at that. I'm really not good at that, but I'm really good at this thing. I know I don't want to be doing this kind of job. I would love this kind of job. It's just really important to be direct and honest with yourself in this kind of thing because it's your character. You got to be upfront. And I do believe that if you follow these same steps, that you can find your purpose too. The last part, maintaining your purpose. So once you've found your purpose, once you've done all this work and you know what kind of person you are, you're not done. This is not something that you just cross the finish line and you've eventually solved all your problems. And this is perhaps the most important mentality switch to make regarding purpose. It's to never reach the finish line. Your purpose is not something that you should ever reach. I think that you'll find a lot more fulfillment in the day-to-day processes that you go through to maybe reach that purpose. Like let's take Minecraft, for example, or any game. It's so engaging to gather the materials and to build your house and enchant your tools and armor. But once you've actually taken a step back and you look at what you've built, the satisfaction of that is not that long lasting at all. But you just spent hours, dozens of hours, maybe even days of time doing that task, and you were so engaged in that moment. That's the fun part. That's the part you actually want to be in, not the end goal. And it's not that you can't celebrate the end goal, you should, but the guys that win the NBA championship, once they've finished, they're just back to practice the next day. So what does this all mean? Well, in referencing everything that I've laid out, my ambitions, my skills, my talents, what I'm not good at, everything, I never want to be done with building my community. Because that is my purpose, right? I'm never going to reach the point of being so good at talking to people that I'm just like, nope, I'm done. I'm the oracle. I've solved everything. No, to be fulfilled in life is to be the student, not the teacher. And you can be both. You could say that I'm a teacher in this sense, but I'm always trying to learn new things and always going into things with the expectation that I don't know everything. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Because if you've done that, it's like if you've beaten a game and you just play through it again, even though you're really good at it. It's like, no, dude, go on to the next game. Pick the higher difficulty. I would just advise you to go through life with the expectation that you're never going to really ever figure it out. Because purpose is one of those weird things where it's actually probably more fulfilling to search for the purpose than to actually arrive at it. I stay busy writing these scripts and doing research and thinking about, how am I going to build this community, down to the most minute things of how do I, set up an email or things that I need to do, things that get me closer to building that community. Those are the things that I actually enjoy, right? And it's very nice to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labors of seeing 100 people in a Zoom call that you built this community. But I know that the day-to-day moments, but I know that the building of that is almost just as rewarding as the end product. So if you made it to the end of this full guide, then I think you know what you're doing. You know that this is important. This is something that you need to focus on. And I hope that you found this helpful. I truly believe that if you follow these steps to a T, you're going to be closer to finding your purpose. You might not solve it today. This is something that's taken me years to figure out. Progress always begins with a little bit of action, right? So do me a favor and go find your ikigai, all right? Hopefully I haven't been mispronouncing that this whole time. But anyways, I'll catch you later.